All right, so let's continue to play with APIs and let's get familiar with the tool Postman. So in this video, we'll talk more about Postman, and in the process, we're just going to make API calls and see how to use the tool, because I want us to focus on learning the tool first, then we'll talk more and more about APIs, and we're going to look more examples of APIs. Okay, so what we did here is we are using this trivia API. I call it trivia API. The website is OpenTDB. So if I go here, OpenTDB or Open Trivia DB, I guess DB4 database. So we start from here. They have a little form that would make it easier for us to create the API. There's like drop downs and things like that. We select that. We created generate API. They gave us the URL. We took the URL to our Postman. We open a new tab. We put it in here. We made API call. And we can change the parameters. So the example that we have here selected 10, but I changed it to 1, so it's a lot easier to see. So we made the API call. Those are called query parameters. They're key value pairs again. And we're saying, give me amount of 1, difficulty is easy, and type is Boolean. In fact, here there is category where I removed the category. So we can just get random category. Okay. All right. So, and we got the response. Like I said, the top half is the request, the bottom is the response. And what do we have here? Technically, I've never used any of those except the first two. So collection is you want to save the API code. Right now, if I close the Postman and if I open it, all of this is gone. This is just one API. A lot of times when you're working on a project, you're going to have multiple APIs. Let's say you're working on an e-commerce application, and you're going to have an API to create a product, to get a product, to update a product. All of those are different APIs. And every time you start your day, you're not going to have to come here and go to your documentation, copy the API. This is straightforward. There's no body. You have to put the body, you have to put the headers, you have to put the credentials, right? You're not going to do that all the time. You're going to save it. And that's why I say create an account to use Postman. You can use Postman without an account, but you can't save anything. Even though it's local, actually that's something new they added. Because I remember a long time ago, without an account, I was able to create stuff. Right? So if we want to save this, what we're going to do is let's start. There's a lot of different ways. You can start from the collections. You can add a collection. You can click on save. You can click on the drop down and do save as. Let's do save as because it's universal. You can always use it. I'm going to do save as. And it's going to say, hey, what collection do you want to save it in? So then you can just give it a name. This is the first one. So it's trying to create one that says new collection. I'm going to say trivia API. So I'm just going to call it that. I'm going to click on save. I could have changed the name also. So now when you go to collections, there is a trivia API right here. There's going to be multiple of them eventually, right? There's a trivia API, and there is one that the first one we did, the one we saved. So if we click on this, let me close this. I'm going to close that. If I click on this, it just opened it with everything already set up. The parameters, the headers, everything, the way we saved it. So when we saved it, we could have just gave it a name, but we used the whole URL. We'll come back and change that. So now let's create another API. I'm going to hit the tab, open a new tab. I'm going to go to the documentation, and let's say they have different APIs for getting like categories and things like that. So I'm going to go to API documentation. Actually, I'm going to go to API documentation, and I want to see what are all the available categories. So the API we called here is to get actual questions, right? And you can pass in a category if you want to. When we look at the form, let me go to the first page here. When we look at the form, we can select a category. If I select entertainment music and generate API URL, the category is 12. You're not sending the word music. They actually have an ID that corresponds to music, right? Because you normally want to do that. Music is 5 characters long or whatever it is, and 12 is just 2 characters long. So when you send that information, that's less characters or less data you have to send over. So they use IDs. There's a lot of different reasons you want to use IDs. So now if I want to use this API and I want to know what are the categories. So there should be an API that gives me a list of categories. Also, I'm testing it, so I want to know what are all the APIs. So here they should have a list of APIs. Helper API tools. They have these tools, right? They have a category lookup API. So if I'm the tester for this, guys, I work for OpenTDB, then I need to test all the APIs. So I need to know what are all the APIs. I actually don't know what all the APIs. I just go based on what I see on the page. So I know this is one of the APIs right here, right? So I'm going to copy that URL. I'm going to come here. I'm going to open a new tab. I'm going to paste it here. I'm going to assume it's a GET. Everything here is pretty much a GET code, even though they don't specify. Remember, when we talk about APIs, the most important thing is the method, the URL, the request, and the response. The request, the method, and the URL, you will have to know. The response, you're not going to know. You're going to get a response you're going to see. But if you're testing it, you do have to anticipate what the response is going to be. So I'm going to put this here. I'm just going to hit send. There you go. We got a response. The first thing we're going to look for is status code. So we got a 200. It's success. We got a JSON. That's good to go. Then, if we are testing it, first we will test out, okay, is this the right format? It looks like it is a dictionary or a JSON with just one key and then an array. So we look at our requirements. We have to have requirements. Right now, we don't work for them, so we don't know what the requirements are. We're just assuming what we see here is the right thing. So based on your requirements, your product person might tell you, your engineer might tell you, your project manager might tell you, somebody will tell you what the requirements are, or they might give you a documentation. So when you're testing it, you're going to say, hey, the requirement is there should be a key called trivia categories. Is it there? Okay, good. Pass. Test case, pass. Another test case, the value should be an array. Okay, there we go. We have it. An array, and the array, how many are there supposed to be? I don't know how many there are here, but whatever the categories are, there are 20 categories, then the array should have all 20 of them. Okay, I'm going to do a count, seeing everything. Then I'm going to say, hey, is film part of it? Is music part of it? Is television part of it, right? So you're going to validate. You have the requirement, what the API is supposed to respond with, and you actually make the call, you get the response, and you say, hey, did the response meet my expectation? That's pretty much it. In a nutshell, that's really what API testing is. Like, one of the major parts of it is I make a request, I'm expecting a certain thing to happen. Did that happen? Pretty much, okay? All right, so we made this API call. We talked about testing it. Now, I'm going to make this API call and test it tomorrow. So I want to save it, right? So I'm going to click on save here or drop down, save as, and and right now it already has our workspace selected. I don't even see it. How does it know? It says my workspace. And I'm going to click on my collection here, Trivia API, and I can just leave it like this. I'm going to say save. Now I got 2 of them here. So I don't like that because I can't easily see what is what, especially normally you would have this a little bit smaller. I have it like super zoomed in, right? So maybe that's a little too much. So I normally would be like, I would give it a simple name, can say trivia gate questions, right? I'll rename this 3 dots, rename, I'm going to trivia gate, oops, I don't know what happened there. Rename trivia gate categories. Okay. Now, if I close everything and tomorrow I go to collections, I can just click on get questions and I have it there. I can just change the parameters. So if I want to get the hard ones, I can do hard and make the API call. There you go, right? And if I don't have too many, if I find myself doing hard, easy, medium often, then I can save this. Save as trivia get questions. I can say hard, right? Now I got 3 of them. So that's all what a collection is. In environments, we're going to look at environments later on. Basically, you can create different if you have different URLs, you can create variables as an environment. So you technically create like environment variables, kind of, and it makes things a lot easier. I think when we talk about e-commerce, I'll show you how to use that because here for the trivia, we're always going to use the same base URL. So saving it in a variable is not going to really help us much. All right. So let's quickly look at, that's all I have in my notes, but let's see if they have other APIs. So they have the same category API, but you can pass a parameter here, right? So we can take this guy. This is more about using APIs than using testing APIs. I just want to show you. So it says category ID here, right? So we don't know what the category IDs are. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a call to get categories. So I'm going to click on this. I already have it saved. I'm going to hit send. I make a request to say, hey, give me what are all the categories out there. So let's say I already did music. Let's say I have board games. Board games is ID 16. Then I'll go back here and I'll replace this category to 16. Hit send. This is going to give me information about how many questions there are for that category. So I'm saying category ID 16, category question count will be basically information like this. Question count, there are a total of 60 questions. There are 20 easy, 15 medium, and 25 hard. Okay, so you will test this. This is one of the APIs you'll test. This is your job, you work for this company, your job is to test the APIs. Okay, you take this is another API you need to test. What are some test cases you can think of for this, right? First, when I make the API call, when I put in the category equals some category, do I get a 200 back? Do I get a JSON, right? Does the format of the JSON look right? Is there two keys in the JSON? There should be a category ID key, and it should exist, and it should match my request. If I request 16 and I got 15 back, then we have an issue. We have a bug. I need to report it. Something is wrong. Now, there should be another key that says category question count. Inside of that key, the value should be another dictionary. Inside of this dictionary, there should be 1, 2, 3, 4 fields. What are the fields? Oh, is it total question count? Is it easy? Is it medium? Is it hard? Does it contain this? These numbers you might not know, right? Then another test case, what you're going to do is you want to make sure this actually reflects it. So you're going to create a new question for this category, right? You might have an API to create a question. This is a public API, so they don't really give us a post API to create questions. Maybe, there is an option that says add. You must be logged in. I think if you log in, you might be able to create questions. But if you test there, obviously, if you were a tester there, if you work there, obviously you have access. So what you would do is you create a new question in this category. You make this API call, and you make sure this number change. So what I normally do in my automation is I make the API call, I say, okay, there's total of 60 and there are 20 easy ones. Okay, I'll save that, right, in a variable somewhere. Then I'll make another API call to create a new question in this category. Or if there is no API available to create the question, I'll go to the database and create it. Or however I need to create it. Maybe I'll open a browser and create it. I'll create it, then I'll make the same API call again. Now I'm expecting more, right? I'm expecting the total to be 61 and the easy to be 21, right? That's what you're going to test. You know what the API state is initially. You generate new data, you make the API call, and you validate that the data changed, because that you want to see that, oh, the API is actually reflecting the new changes. The API is working because I know it just got the new information. Okay. So now we can save this. I'm going to click on save, and we're going to use the trivia API. I'm just going to say trivia get category information by ID. Right, I'm going to save that, and it is right here. That's kind of a long name. It's really up to you. That's more of a preference thing. You want to give a short name, something you just understand, or more a descriptive name. There's no rules for that. Okay, so in summary, in this video we talked about how we're going to save, what a collection is. A collection is basically saving a bunch of APIs. We have Trivia API. We're going to have another one here for WooCommerce. We're going to have another one here for Case.io. We're going to create, when we have different collections, we're going to create different ones. Even for, you can have subfolders in here too. Even for one API, for example, the WooCommerce API, we have different ones. We have Customer API, we have Product API, we have Orders API, we have Coupons API. There's tons of them. So again, you will create folders. Our collections are like folders, so you can group them, you can save them. So we looked at that, and we also looked at if you were to work with this Trivia API, if that was your job, what are some of the test cases you would look at? Every API you will test it, and for every API there will be several test cases. We just looked at some examples of that. That's what we did in this video. So let's move on to another video and look at more examples of API testing with the different APIs.